When Daniel Harper agreed to help her lie, he believed it would last one evening, maybe two. A simple favor. A harmless story told to people he would never see again. He did not expect the lie to look back at him with trembling hands and eyes full of fear, or to change the quiet rhythm of his life forever. It began on a rainy Thursday night in Portland, Oregon. Daniel, 42 and comfortably invisible, had just locked up the small neighborhood bookstore he managed when he noticed her standing across the street. She was too young to be waiting alone that late, her arms wrapped tightly around herself, her phone clutched like a lifeline. The streetlight above her flickered, casting her face in brief flashes. She looked lost, but more than that, she looked desperate. Her name was Lily Carter. She was 23. She stepped toward him as if she had already decided something she could not undo. Her voice shook when she spoke, asking if he could help her. Not money, not a ride. She asked him to pretend to be her fiancé for one weekend. Daniel laughed at first, the kind of laugh that came from disbelief, not humor. But Lily did not smile. She explained in hurried fragments that her family reunion was coming up in Seattle, that they expected her to arrive engaged, that she had told a lie months ago to escape constant pressure and questions. Now the lie had grown teeth. Daniel should have said no. He knew it. He was old enough to know how these things ended. But there was something in the way Lily looked at him, as if she were standing on the edge of something dark and deep, that made him pause. She promised it would be easy. She promised it would mean nothing. Against his better judgment, Daniel agreed. The drive to Seattle the next morning was quiet at first. Rain traced slow lines down the windshield as the city faded behind them. Lily sat with her knees pulled close, staring out the window. Daniel noticed small details he tried not to notice, like how she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was nervous, or how she bit her lip when she thought too hard. She finally told him pieces of her story. A controlling father. A mother who believed love should follow a schedule. A childhood spent trying to be enough. The fake engagement had been her way of buying time, of breathing. Daniel listened, telling himself he was only being polite. Still, he felt something tighten in his chest. Her family home overlooked the water, large and carefully maintained. From the moment they stepped inside, the lie took on weight. Her parents studied Daniel closely. Questions came quickly. How they met, when he planned to marry her, what kind of future he imagined. Daniel answered calmly, choosing his words with care. He felt Lily's hand slip into his, warm and shaking. The touch was meant to sell the story, but it sent a strange current through him. He told himself it was nerves. That night, after the house went quiet, Daniel stood alone on the guest room balcony. He told himself he would leave after the weekend, that none of this mattered. Yet when Lily stepped outside, wrapped in a sweater that swallowed her frame, he did not move away. She thanked him softly, saying she knew this was strange, saying she would never forget it. The space between them felt heavy, full of words neither of them said. For a moment, Daniel thought she might cry. Instead, she smiled, small and sad. Inside, Daniel lay awake long after the lights went out. He thought about the lie, about how easily it had settled around them, about how real it had started to feel. What he did not know yet was that Lily had not told him everything. The lie he agreed to carry was only the surface. The truth waiting underneath would test every line he believed he would never cross. The next morning arrived with soft sunlight and the smell of coffee drifting through the house. Daniel tried to ground himself in small routines, tying his shoes, straightening his jacket, but nothing felt normal anymore. Lily's laughter echoed down the hallway as she spoke with her mother, light and practiced, like someone who had learned how to sound happy long ago. At breakfast, the questions continued. Her father, Mark Carter, watched Daniel with a calm intensity that made his skin prickle. He asked about Daniel's past, his career, his plans. Daniel answered honestly where he could and carefully where he could not. Lily played her role well, leaning into him, finishing his sentences, smiling at the right moments. Anyone watching would believe they were in love. anyone except Daniel himself. Later that afternoon, Lily suggested a walk by the water. The air was cool, the shoreline quiet. Away from her family, she seemed smaller, less certain. She admitted she hated lying, that every word felt like a stone added to her chest. Daniel told her she was doing fine, that the weekend would be over soon. She stopped walking and turned to him. Her eyes were glossy, her voice low. She asked him why he had really agreed to help her. Daniel hesitated. He could have given an easy answer. Kindness, boredom, a moment of weakness. Instead, he told the truth. He said she looked like someone who needed help, and he knew what it felt like to carry things alone. That honesty shifted something between them. That evening, her family hosted a small gathering. Friends, neighbors, people who had known Lily her entire life. Daniel felt the age gap more sharply than before, standing among people who assumed he held power simply because he was older. He noticed how Lily stayed close, how her fingers brushed his sleeve when she felt overwhelmed. As the night wore on, Daniel overheard a conversation that made his stomach drop. Lily's mother spoke quietly to an aunt, saying how relieved she was Lily had finally settled down. How this engagement meant Lily would stop chasing dreams that made no sense. Daniel realized then that the lie was not just about a ring. It was about control. Later, Lily found him alone near the fireplace. Her smile had faded. She confessed something she had avoided saying before. Her parents planned to announce the engagement publicly the next day. They wanted a date, a timeline. She had not agreed to this. Daniel felt anger rise, sharp and unexpected. He told her they would end it, that he would leave if she wanted. Lily shook her head. She said if he left now, the fallout would be worse. She said she just needed one more day. That night, Lily knocked softly on Daniel's door. She stood there barefoot, her eyes red from crying. She asked if she could sit with him for a while. Nothing more, just company. They sat on opposite ends of the bed, talking quietly about small things at first. Books, music, places they wished they had seen. Slowly, the distance between them closed. Not from intention, but from comfort. Lily told him the truth she had been hiding. She was not just lying about an engagement. She was planning to leave Seattle for New York in a month, to take a job her parents did not know about. The fake fiancé was supposed to soften the blow, to make her departure seem less like rebellion. Daniel understood then what was at stake. This lie was her shield, and he was standing inside it with her. When Lily leaned her head against his shoulder, Daniel did not pull away. He felt the weight of the moment, the danger of it. He also felt something warm and terrifying settle into his chest. He knew he was crossing a line, and when Lily looked up at him, her face inches from his, Daniel realized the truth he was not ready to admit yet. This lie was no longer pretend. The morning of the announcement arrived heavy and quiet. Daniel barely slept, his thoughts tangled between reason and feeling. When he joined Lily downstairs, she looked calm in a way that worried him more than fear. It was the calm of someone who had already accepted the consequences. Her family gathered in the living room just after noon. Lily's father cleared his throat, smiling proudly as he placed a hand on her shoulder. He spoke about stability, about tradition, about how proud he was that Lily had chosen a solid future. Then he turned to Daniel and asked him, directly, when the wedding would be. The room went still. Daniel felt Lily's fingers tighten around his. He looked at her and saw the silent question in her eyes. For the first time since agreeing to help her lie, he realized he had a choice. He could protect himself, walk away clean, or he could protect her, even if it meant breaking everything open. Daniel spoke before he could talk himself out of it. He said there would be no wedding, not because he did not care for Lily, but because she deserved the freedom to choose her own life. The words landed like thunder. Lily's mother gasped. Her father's face hardened. Voices rose. Accusations followed. But Lily stood up, her voice shaking at first, then growing stronger. She told them about New York, about the job, about how small she felt living someone else's dream. Daniel watched her transform in front of him. When the confrontation ended, Lily asked Daniel to leave with her. Not as a fiancé, not as a lie, just as someone who had seen her clearly. They drove south in silence until the city faded behind them. At a quiet overlook, Lily finally spoke. She apologized for pulling him into her mess. She said she understood if he wanted to walk away now. Daniel told her the truth he had been avoiding. He said the lie had shown him parts of himself he thought were gone. He said he did not know what their future looked like, or if it made sense, or if it would last. But he wanted to find out. They did not rush into promises. They did not pretend the age gap did not matter. They chose honesty, slowly and carefully. Daniel returned to Portland. Lily moved to New York weeks later. They spoke often, then less often, then deeply. Months passed before they met again, this time without lies. Standing on a crowded street in Manhattan, Daniel realized something simple and steady. The truth had been terrifying. It had cost them comfort and certainty, but it had given them something real. And this time, that was enough.